I started with the idea and started the company Visual Conquest is to really just that, conquer the visual world, right? And how can we use this immersive design technology to create new solutions, create different solutions, create different levels of interaction and collaborative environments where we can all kind of be in there together and do things in a different space.
Because you order the equipment and then you got this time you're waiting for the equipment to come in. But now if you have something, it gets them excited. That's what I think is a big part of this as well.
So that single event inspired me to do a lot of the stuff that I do today.
Well, look at how long we've been talking about VR. And I feel like at first we were like, yeah, that's gonna, go away at some point. And it's not. It's still here growing.
Play around, move around, and see what it looks like.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, so welcome back to the Next Up podcast, and I have three of the homies with me today. Cannot wait to get into this conversation. We're gonna do some pretty cool techie stuff too, I believe. Isn't that right, Brendan?
Yeah, we are. Stay tuned. A lot more to come.
We may go to a whole different universe, right?
Maybe there was somebody nice enough out there to build a virtual studio for you.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go ahead and get some introductions. So, Mike, go ahead and tell me who you are, what you do, that sort of thing.
Mike Mang. I am the director of sales for Florida Reps, which is a large equipment rep group.
Okay, so
large food equipment rep group.
All right, and what manufacturers do you rep?
Vulcan, Hobart, Charleston, Baxter. Big names out there. Big heavy hitters.
Those are some big heavy hitters.
Yes, they are. So like combi ovens, like warewashing, all that stuff.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Yep. Cool. Josh, what about you?
So I'm the owner of my startup, Remarkable Academic Foods. So it's consulting, basically management advisory services. So think of it as strategy development and assessments of school food service programs.
We're going to come back to that 'cause I got all sorts of questions.
All right. Let's do it.
All right. And Brendan, what do you do?
The founder and owner of Visual Conquest, develop immersive and interactive experiences for the industry.
Okay, neat. All right, so Josh, you first. What do you really do?
Still figuring that out. As a startup, you definitely have to keep figuring that out and pivoting and shifting and finding your message. But yeah, so my biggest thing is just working with colleges and universities. That's most of my background, but also trying to help out the K-12 community as well. And, really, when you think about the directors, operators that are running these programs, they have a lot to do, right? Because I was doing it, right?
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating when you have goals that you want to reach, things that you want to work on, but you don't have the time, right?
Sure.
So I think of myself as an external resource that has time to help and some knowledge background to help them achieve those goals.
Okay.
Set up game plans and how do we get there?
All right. So what did you do before you started your company?
Yeah. So my last role was culinary director for AVI Food Systems. So they're one of the top 8 food service contract companies. So similar to your Aramark, Sodexo, and Compass Group.
Okay.
Largest family-owned food service contractor in the country, actually. So I traveled around for them full time. And that role did consist of colleges, did consist of workplace dining and healthcare a little bit. So that was traveling full time all the way as far south as Alabama and as far west as Ohio and, along the East Coast and all that a little bit.
All right. So let's say I'm a new food service director and I just get hired to a program, whether it's, like healthcare, CNU, K-12, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm struggling to learn or I just want to enhance what I'm doing. Like what would your approach be to help me get to where I want to go?
Well, I'd be looking at your program, right? Because I can't help you if I don't know exactly what the goals are for your program. Maybe there's some things that we can start addressing that might be more priority. Like let's say you have food allergies in your school, right? You have a lot of parents that are frustrated with, the way that you're handling those. So I'm a certified allergy trainer through Menu Trinfo, so I can help you do like a walkthrough of like, let's see where we have our weaknesses in identifying allergens or in our procedures in the back. Are we being safe in doing that? And so once I got a good idea of where you are with that, now we can go into a game plan of what is it going to take to address those issues, basically. So,
awesome.
That's one example. Yeah. And I'm huge on tech, so there's assessments, right? So I have a digital. I don't like the paper ones. So I
hate paper.
I like data. I like bringing in different things.
Manual logging.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of hands-on, the closest thing I would get to with that is working with a tech company called Pineapple Academy, and they focus on short video lessons that are easily accessible, including in the kitchen. And that's actually where the company started. And so working with them on getting into schools and helping the food service working community so that you can, let's say you have that new combi oven, state of the art, don't know how to use it. You'll understand this, right?
Yep.
Let's say we put a QR code on there, and now all of a sudden your person that just started that day can go up to that oven, scan a QR code, and get quick direction on how to use it. So it empowers them to be independent. They can,
Yeah, I get a lot of emails asking for YouTube links for training videos.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
So that would definitely,
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Think about like something as like a salad bar. Someone's never walked into your kitchen before or never worked in a kitchen, never picked up a knife. And now they have to not only know how to prep all these things, but also how to set up the station properly. And that's time consuming, right? But let's say you're stretched, you're the chef, and you're like, all right, I don't have a whole lot of time to give them attention. But hey, we have all these videos right here. You can quickly access them. Again, it could be through QR codes. It can be through links on their phone. But however it is, they can access those videos, how to cut a bell pepper, how to cut the tomatoes, exactly the way that they want to see it. And then lead it all the way out to the salad bar. This is how we set it up. These are the utensils we use. These are the pans. This is the garnishes and all that stuff.
Sure, that's powerful. Not even just for the single person that you're training, because as we know, there's turnover in food service, like any other industry, and there might be more. So
Yeah.
Having that, so you train one person, you know the next person that comes along, they're going to get the same training and have the same experience. That
Yes.
So that's important.
Singing the same song, everyone. It's as
Because
consistent as you can
when
get.
someone leaves, you want the next person to come in, hit the ground running, and being able to
Exactly.
do like have the you have an expectation, you want that met. It's the
Exactly.
easiest way to do it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And then also addressing the side where a lot of organizations miss the mark, which is onboarding. It's usually
Absolutely.
your grill cook comes in first day, here's a spatula,
Ready
go.
to go.
And so let's say that they are not used to working in the kitchen. How about before they come into the kitchen, they watch a few videos on food safety? And again, it's not in an office for an hour because they're not gonna
Right.
get all that, right? These videos are 5 minutes or less, and so it's key that is a part of it because it's proven. There's the studies behind it that you retain more information in shorter bursts, and it's more efficient for the food service industry because we don't want them in an office for an hour.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We need them out here. Get out here. Okay, you know your food safety. You got the 20 minutes clips. All right, now go.
So are you the guy that's on screen doing the training, or are you just pretty much writing the curriculum?
There's two different ways. They have a library of videos.
Okay.
And there's also the ability to where, let's say that you're an operator and you're like, listen, we want to own this. We'll create our own videos. We don't need any help.
Yeah.
But there's also obviously the labor issue is not only with the team members, it's also up to the leadership. And they're like, we don't have
Sure.
a person that can champion this. So that's where I can come in. And again, go back to my digital assessment. Let's go in and let's assess where the training gaps are. What are your needs today? And then let's start putting together plans. And let's say, all right, your grill cook needs these videos to start off. This is from A through Z. And let's put together the timeline for it. And then let's go from there in terms of that. And it doesn't have to be mandatory because, in K-12, not necessarily you don't want to become like the chef of the program, right? You might just be working in there because it's a good convenient schedule and all that. So it's not like everyone on your team has to do every single video or you're going to get written up, and it's not like that. It's there as a resource to help them when they do want it and need it.
Yeah, it's definitely an easier way to set a standard too, because that standard's in video, and people when they watch it, they see that's what the expectation is. So it just makes it easier for the kitchen manager to be able to, train their employees the way that they want them to be trained.
Exactly.
I'm sure you'd be able to find a lot of metrics in that too as well, right? How many of the facilities are actually going through the training? How many employees are going through the training? And what does that do with the quality of the food? What does that do with employee retention or cross-training from one facility to the next?
Yep, exactly. Benchmarking, KPIs, you're saying it all. And Pineapple Academy, they actually track. So that QR code is not a simple QR code that's DIY. Even though you can do that, you can do your YouTube videos and do that, but it's clunky to get to, right? And you can't track who's watching what. Sure. This does. An employee scans it, puts in their unique PIN, and boom. Now you can verify that
Right.
who's watching the videos.
That's awesome.
So it's a full experience. That's pretty awesome.
Full experience.
And you guys are serving, people like Mike's company and the ultimately the end user too, right?
Yes, yeah. They're working with all of it, and I mean they're going outside of the food service industry. The technology is amazing.
Well, that was my next question because like as you're talking about it, selfishly I'm thinking, wait, so when I'm onboarding a new employee, can I use this same technology to help educate them and train them? Like put a QR code on their desk and they come in the office, they sit down, they scan the QR code and it has like tips, tricks, like or whatever their job title, role, like all those things are for the day or how to do these things.
Exactly.
And then put a QR code like on my soundboard here. This is how you use a soundboard. On a camera. This is how you use the camera.
Yeah.
Or that's
they're already working with environmental services, so the people that are taking care of the buildings, and they're getting into other industries. I'm not going to say it all because I don't want to speak for them, but I can just tell you it's an impressive, very, very impressive potential client list they have coming through looking at that technology.
Yeah. I really like the idea of taking one of those QR codes and putting it on one of our media cases. So like when we travel for like an on-site shoot, like scan the QR code and this is step by step how the set needs to look with pictures and videos and all that.
Yeah, and this makes me think there's quite often when people buy equipment, it's big equipment that they may not be used to. And so we have to send out one of our sales reps to do a training. And I still think that's a valuable tool. People like in-person training, but there are times where they reach back out. Hey, can they come back out and show us something? Or this employee wasn't here, or we still don't understand this. And having that QR code or having access to videos like that as a supplement is huge. And even if you can't get out, like say you can't have an in-person training or they don't want an in-person training, it's invaluable. That's an invaluable tool.
Look at maintenance, look at equipment upkeep, and things that the operator should be doing on a regular basis with all the equipment in there too as well. But it all just gets neglected because of lack of knowledge on how to do it, what to do it, when to do it.
100%.
Exactly.
100%.
Greg, the president and co-founder of the company, he loves to go to the ice machine, which is ironically, so I'm a certified professional food safety, and ice machine is one of the first things I go to because 9 times out of 10, the facility is not taking care of it.
Don't look in the bin.
I have some very horrible ice machine stories. You don't want to know.
Yeah.
Like I literally almost walked out of the kitchen. Like I'm not touching anything in here.
Oh man, that sounds rough.
Yeah.
That sounds rough.
That's a game changer. I mean, getting into any industry, and especially the younger generation coming in, it's on the job training. But if you've got guidance that'll help you on the job training, it'll get you where you need to go a lot faster.
Exactly. And look at who's going to be upcoming in the workforce. You have Gen Z already, right? Gen Alpha is going to be very connected to their phones. So they want that empowering, like they're used to, like they know nothing but the world of TikToks and Instagrams and all that. So that actually embraces what they already relate to. And at the same time, it's efficient for everyone. So it's trying to think ahead as well as setting yourself up for success today.
And there's always a labor shortage. I mean, there has been since COVID. That's going to continue, I think. So
Yeah.
I love the idea of using video too, because like when I have a question about something or I want to learn something new, I'm not pulling out an encyclopedia. I'm not even going to Wikipedia. I'm going straight to YouTube. I'm looking, if there's no video, no.
I have
not wasting my time.
A great example. So we did this full renovation of a dining hall, right? All brand new equipment, front of the house, back of the house. Very cool, fancy, state-of-the-art stuff, high up on the technology. And I put together these binders. I got every manual of every single piece of equipment, and I organized it in the binder with, an index in the beginning so you could see where to go to. And I'm just thinking back to that now, and I'm like, it would take them 5 minutes just to find the manual. No chef was going to pull that out, ever.
That's in the corner collecting dust, unfortunately.
Ever, never, ever. So, you're absolutely right on that.
And with that platform, can you update the videos in real time?
Yeah. You can do your own videos. You can hire someone else. You can do it from your phone if you want to, or you can have professional production done. So, which I think the most value for that is especially on the onboarding, that first impression when someone starts and you're welcoming them to your program.
Yeah. So basically, you're building a portal for them to upload what they need. That makes
exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Well, and a library, right? I mean, having that library, let's say you want to do, specials, on the menu, or start changing the menu up in certain kiosks, and get a rotation going with the food that you're serving to keep it fresh, right? How can you, it'd be a great way to continually teach staff on the SOPs and everything, all the process they need to go through to accomplish that menu. It
completely extends the arms of the leaders. Like you can't be everywhere all at once. Sure. Even the colleges, I was speaking with the college they were in the thinking phase of bringing in a trainer full time on staff, which is great. I'm a proponent of that. Like that's a great start, but they're not working every single shift.
Mm-hmm. Or temps, right? How often
you have your temps. Like you can't be there for everything, especially on a campus, because it's not just breakfast, lunch, dinner. There's late night too. So you have a whole nother fourth meal, and it's like, what about them and them learning how to do the equipment, how to clean, and how to start up the stations and all that? So
Well, so Mike, it sounds like that solution would be perfect for someone like you and your organization, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many times where I've wished, one of our sales guys has another meeting, and so they're having to reschedule a meeting with the end user because our sales guy can't get out there.
Yeah.
So it just makes it convenient because, we would still want to have somebody go out there in person because I think that's important. But being able to have that supplement to show them, like, hey, if you're wanting something right now, we can send you this video or this portal. This has, everything that you need. And again, so many times when our guys go out and teach, there's an employee that's off that day, or, they miss something during that presentation. So just having an extra video is awesome to be able to provide.
So tell me about Florida reps. Who do you guys service? You guys just in K-12? You do more?
Oh yeah, we do hospitals, prisons, restaurants, anywhere that would require large food equipment.
I can't imagine running a food service operation in a prison. That just sounds wild to me. Have you ever been to a prison to go check that out yet?
No, I haven't.
No. I have never been to one myself, so yeah.
And all that equipment has to be engineered and made differently too. So
does it really?
Oh yeah, it's all
safety.
special.
Yeah,
safety. No exposed screws, nothing that they can.
Combi ovens.
Yep.
Is it a safety button on the inside or something like that?
I don't know, to be honest. There's so many different variations for all the equipment.
Packages. Gotcha. So the roll-in combi ovens. You could literally fit a person in there. And I was told by a rep that they have to have a release button on the inside.
Wow. Oh, I'm sure.
To be able to get out.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah. So if a prison calls you because they want your services, are you in? You gonna do it?
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
You charge a premium for that, though. You got hazard pay.
With security. As long as there's security, I'm good.
That's awesome. So, Mike, with Florida reps, you guys have test kitchens around Florida where you bring people in to educate, to inspire, that sort of thing?
Yeah, and that's like I don't want to say sealing the deal, but that's like, having a place where you can bring somebody in to show them the equipment that they're looking at is super powerful. I mean, because, you can look at it on paper, you can see it, you can see it on video, someone can tell you about it, but being able to actually like see it is awesome. And I think that's part of what he's going to be showing us today, another tool for that. I mean, having the test kitchens and people being able to come in is big, especially when you have equipment that, I mean, quite frankly, is, for lack of better terms, it's beautiful. I mean, a lot of the stuff we sell is really nice looking stuff, and that's a wow factor.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
I'm sorry. So are people taking advantage of test kitchens more and more, do you think? Over
Sure.
over
definitely.
the last few years? Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Well, to be able to try it, test their menu out, go through the equipment, make sure it's going to come out the way they want before they commit to
That's the biggest thing is
investment.
they bring menu items and seeing how it finishes on the product. So, yeah.
So what happens if somebody buys a piece of equipment and it just doesn't work out for them, or they want to upgrade to the next one? You guys have any programs or incentives?
Not that I currently am aware of, no. I mean, usually, if they have any apprehension, that's when we would use our test kitchen so that they can see it.
So you solve the problem before it becomes a problem.
Yeah,
so you
absolutely.
don't have punch cards.
No tech packs.
Every 3 ovens, 1 free.
That's funny. So Brendan, me and you, we met, what was that like?
I think it was North Carolina School Show.
It wasn't a school show. It was a private event that you guys were doing with Tyson. And I was working for MealViewer or Heartland School Solutions at the time.
At the Swanson Yard Test Kitchen, yeah.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And then like that. So that single event inspired me to do a lot of the stuff that I do today, because I saw the amount of quality relationships that were built at that event. It was it was a small event. Probably had like 20, 30 people there, multiple school districts from the Charlotte area, and he brought everybody into a test kitchen. And you guys were there, Tyson was there, and they brought me in, right? And Tyson was doing recipe development, and then I was showing how you can use, pictures and images and videos to entice children to eat meals at schools through digital signage and web apps, and you guys were showing off your equipment, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that was my first thought, like, oh my gosh, like if I ever start my own company, I should throw events like this. And that ultimately evolved into the NxtGen summits that we do, the symposiums, and Ignite, which is our big event. But whenever we were there, we started talking about virtual reality.
Yeah.
I don't even know how we got into the conversation. Do you remember?
That's a term.
I want to talk about video games. I was
What
like,
are
how
you doing?
cool
What are you
you
working on? What are you working on? Well, I'm working on this, and it was at the same time, I think we were both thinking about doing something new, doing something different. We both had visions in our head on, wanting to start a company and wanting to start something new. And that was, you took the leap before I did,
I did. But I remember, so some time went by, maybe like 6 months, a year, something like that. And like we were talking here and there, but then when I was getting ready to make the leap, there was a company that was into furniture and decor, right? And they were sending me blueprints. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm looking at right now. So I reached out to you. I was like, hey, can you make me, like, if I give you a blueprint, can you take it and make it into a virtual space? And you were like, absolutely. And you did it in no time at all. And when I showed the client, it blew their mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely blew their mind. So tell me a little bit about where you started off and where you are now in terms of that.
Well, I've been in the industry in food service for over 16 years, and from reps to distributors to manufacturers, and same problem that many have is visualizing different solutions, right? And this is where much of the test kitchens come about, by being able to bring people in so they can see it and work on equipment themselves. But not everybody is there in a location able to come into a test kitchen to see equipment. And even equipment that are in test kitchens and manufacturers' facilities doesn't include everything, right? So it's not always the solution right there in front of them. And being a rep myself over the years, having a number of different brands, trying to find a way to build solutions for clients and customers when you're pulling your cook line and your warewashing and your prep in, and for them to be able to visually see what the solution is going to look like. And over the years, learned 3D design and animation, and fast forward many years later, getting into game engine design technology, and really trying to figure out a way to bring in these 3D models in a way that is not just 3D renderings, but more immersive in real time. And that's where I think most of the value comes in, is being able to interact in the environment and build things on the fly as you go. And that's where I started with the idea and started the company Visual Conquest, is to really just conquer the visual world, right? And how can we use this immersive design technology to create new solutions, create different solutions, create different levels of interaction and collaborative environments where we can all kind of be in there together and do things in a different space.
Speaking of collaboration, so a scenario, right? So Josh gets hired by a school district to do some consulting work, maybe remodels, kitchen, renovation, whatever it is. So Josh reaches out to Mike to get the equipment, and then you connect with both of them to help them present what the future of the kitchen could be to the client. And now you guys are all working together to create a better experience for the end user.
Bringing all those files in to using something like Revit to build it out, and then bringing those Revit files into the game engine design software to then be able to interact with it. Essentially, we're combining gameplay and game engine design technology now with facility design.
And theoretically, they would already have all those Revit files, so you could just import into your engine.
Yeah, the Revit files are there. The manufacturers do a great job of making these collections, and that's the basis of a lot of 3D models that come in.
Okay, and you said it's customizable too. Like you can swap in and out equipment, change colors of walls, and all of that, right?
Yeah, so think Fortnite for food service, and instead of running around shooting each other, we're running around building solutions for their menu together, right?
Okay.
And it's got to be built out how you want it to be able to interact with the equipment in there, but knowing the parameters up front and in the beginning, then the environment can be built out that way.
So the first version of what you're talking about, you made for me, like 4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And then you made another version more recently. And dude, like it's light years better than the first one. Like the first one was great, like mind blowing, but this new one is legit.
Yeah. So now using different platforms on Meta, like spatial, which we'll dive into in a minute, but these sandboxes now that has really started to come about with the metaverse and everybody talking about these collaborative spaces, and companies out there now that are creating these sandboxes that allow creators to be able to build, on their platforms, and it makes it easy then at that point for networking amongst multiple people and people that don't even have to be in the same building, right? And it could be on VR goggles, it could be on desktop or mobile too as well. So it allows people to be able to come together in a common space to present whatever it is that they want to present together.
Yeah, and I think that's like big, to your point, not just VR, but also mobile and desktop, because there are a lot of people out there that have some apprehension to it or, have issues, but being able to do it on your computer is great. I think
it turns
awesome.
it into like a Google Earth for your kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah.
Well, you're 100% right, and not everybody has VR goggles, and a lot more people haven't used them, right? So there's a learning curve when it comes to this technology. And getting into virtual reality, everybody's got desktops, for the most part. Or
there's no barrier
or
to what you're
device.
doing, which
huge
is
digital
good.
barrier there. So having platforms that you can build for desktop too as well. We with the game engine designs that we're doing, it can be built for VR or desktop as well. So a lot of the designs that we're doing with consultants and architects that we're building out, let's say for a client, let's say it is a food service director for their school, taking those Revit files, taking the equipment that you're specifying in for them, and putting that into a desktop version that they can walk through from their computer.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, even just the excitement that the customer is going to get, because you order the equipment and then you got this time you're waiting for the equipment to come in. But now if you have something, it gets them excited. That's what I think is a big part of this as well.
Yeah, and it allows somebody like Josh to walk through the flow, right?
Yeah.
And let's go from receiving to storage to prep to cooking, to plating, to serving, right? And how is all of it going to look for the operator? It's a lot easier to walk through it virtually or even on a computer with an avatar.
For sure.
To go through it than looking at blueprints and trying to figure out and navigate what the right direction
There's
is.
even a advantage to the immersive part of it. So we can open an oven, right? An oven door. So in the current Revit drawings, they're like, it's standing 3D, right? And you can't do that. So maybe let's say there's a piece of equipment that's too close to it and now you can't swing that door open all the way. You can catch that in that format, but not necessarily in Revit.
Right. And take real-time measurements as well at the same time, make annotations in there as you're walking through it. So maybe there's things that they want to change. You can make those notes in the environment there, take those notes back, make the changes, repackage it, and walk through it again. So spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a facility,
Right.
and the amount of investment that goes into it, you want to make sure that it's going to be built the way you want it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because not only are it's important for the end user, it's also important for the manufacturers. They want to make they don't want to return piece and having to they want it to be done right the first time. So it's a win-win for both.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit newer to me, the VR aspect of it, right? So with the engine that you're building, right, this product, what's setting that one apart from the other firms that are out there doing the VR?
There's two main programs out there that help aid in the creation for virtual reality, and we're using both of those platforms.
Okay.
I think it comes down to how you build it. It comes down to how you interact with the client and the folks that you're building it for, right? Coming up with the right solution for them.
Exactly.
There's plenty of companies out there that are creating virtual reality games and applications, and VR is not new, right? They've been doing virtual reality in healthcare, military for a long time, using flight simulators and things like this through virtual reality and through training for special ops, making its way into the medical field for surgeons to be able to use VR and practice and train there before getting on a real person, right?
Yeah.
And taking that technology, bringing it into another industry, in our industry, where technology is lacking and feel like it has been for a long time compared to other industries that are out there, right? Is trying to adopt something new into it.
Yeah.
So what kind of sets us aside too as well, I think being in the industry for as long as I have in 16 years and being in your shoes and working with operators, after so many years.
Exactly.
Being able to bring it all in together in a way that
it's a hard perspective to have unless you've actually done it. So it's big, yeah.
Yeah. So before I came here, literally, I just came from a food service consultants workshop, and it was on effective design for a food service. And they talked about the senior mentors, consultants. They've been doing this for a long time, and they talked about how the industry went from CAD, which is just to it's on the paper. No one can understand what that is. They don't know what the box is, right? And now it's almost it's really like the expected to have the Revit, right?
Yeah.
And now they're and now the conversations are starting to happen on the VR aspect of it. It's in that phase where the CAD and Revit was, where there was that phase of do we? And it's kind of where the VR is, but it's definitely going to happen.
Do you ever see AR picking up and being a solution in the future? Because I know with the new like the MetaQuest 3 or whatever, you can do augmented reality, so you could actually see through the goggles and look at the actual oven in front of you, and then potentially maybe get step-by-step cleaning instructions or recipes or whatever, right?
I think AR is going to be another game changer in that realm, especially when it comes to facility design too as well, by being able to project that Revit environment out in front of you, walking through the facility to see how everything is going to be lined up in real time and real space there too. For manufacturers, for education and training, I think it's going to be huge. Now being able to combine game engine design technology with augmented reality, being able to explode equipment apart, put it back together, disassemble, reassemble. I think the opportunities are endless.
Yeah.
For manufacturers, for designers, for even rep groups to get into there too as well. It's a different way to show solutions.
Yeah, I think it'd be super cool because one of the clients I work with, they're called Palmetto Gourmet Foods, and they make a product called Woodles, right? And one of the questions that operators keep asking is, how do we make this? How do we prepare it, right? And we were at a school district yesterday, and they had the Panasonic microwaves. I forgot what they're called. But anyways, so it's like a high-powered microwave, right? And I'm thinking, it would be so cool if I just could put on a pair of goggles and I can see this Panasonic device in front of me, and then step by step it's telling me how to make this ramen product. That'd be sick.
Well, I think it's coming. I think there's other glasses out there too. It comes down to the computing power to be able to project that out. I don't necessarily see a lot of operators using augmented reality like Meta, Quest 3 yet, but as it gets smaller, as it gets more compact, and that computing power allows you to be able to display that in front of you while you're seeing it, then I think those options, and then tying in, those QR codes, and those training codes to be able to project those videos out in front of you in real time, so you can watch and practice at the same time, is going to be huge.
So how long do you think till we get there? Because I know Apple just came out with a new pair of goggles. Is that going to be the one device that kind of pushes us over the hump that we're at right now?
It may be. The cost of entry isn't.
I would say the second generation, maybe. When
it
it gets down to about
$3,500.
$1,500, when it gets down to about $1,500, maybe.
It's crazy right now.
Which I think it will. I mean,
it will.
And that technology will shrink. It'll get to a point where it's like glasses.
Or contacts.
Yeah. So,
well, that's the key.
Yeah.
Or being smaller versions, being able to plug it into your phone.
Yep.
And then using your computing power from your device to be able to project it through.
Or, I mean, I'm sure one day we could just put in chips in our head like Elon Musk is and we just see it.
Apparently he's already tried.
I'm sure the
hasn't
people
he?
at home be like, yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, look at how long we've been talking about VR, and I feel like at first we were like, yeah, that's gonna go away at some point, and it's not. It's still here growing.
I've been waiting for VR for a very long time, like since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then remember the what was it? The
Virtual
Nintendo
Boy.
Virtual Boy. Yep.
Yeah.
When that came out
The
way
whole
back
red,
in the day.
red and black screen, yeah,
Red
it
and
was
black
terrible on
screen.
your eyes.
Yep. And
Yeah.
then Ready Player One, the movie. I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
you're close. Like this is what I want. Jack me in.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think give me
I
the
think-
suit and
Yeah.
the running board, I'm ready to go.
I think VR, the platform, Meta was smart because they knew it could grow outside of gaming, and I think them pushing that is what's going to push the innovation forward.
For sure.
Well, I also think just adoption from companies, from businesses, from industries, just bring it in and see what it can do and try it, right?
Yeah.
You know, for a company to purchase a MetaQuest 3 and, you know, have their team just start playing around with it, you know, is step number one, just getting comfortable with it. And once you start adopting this and becoming more comfortable with it, you know,
It's
now it's
second
easy
nature.
to get in and,
Yeah.
and move and navigate around in those scenes.
Yeah.
Well, I have a headset right here. I think you guys have some headsets too.
We got
So
some headsets there.
How about we play? How about we play with it right now and
Let's
see how it goes?
Let's
I wanna
hop
dive
in.
in.
Let's look at your virtual video or your virtual studio
Yeah,
and play around, move around, and see what it looks like.
let's do it.
Let's do it.
Sweet.
All right, so we are in, what do we call this, Brendan? Is this a metaverse, a VR space? We're in the NxtGen office, apparently, which is super sweet.
This is the NxtGen Virtual Studio. Is
Okay.
what this is.
So you want to give us a quick tour?
Yeah. So I mean, Marlon, we would say what it was probably about 4 years back now. You know,
4 years back.
we talked about, you know, building this out and really coming up and using a platform that allowed for multiple people to be able to come in and be able to host these kind of events. This spatial is a great place to do it. So we're able to bring your logos. We'll be, you know, able to bring in furniture that can be sit down on. You know, it's all 3D objects that were created and brought in and textured out in this way and then uploaded to this spatial platform, which you can access through Meta, you can access through the desktop or even the mobile phone.
That's awesome. And this is actually a two-story facility, apparently.
It is. So yeah, you can, let's go walk up a little bit.
This is awesome.
Be careful, Josh. Don't,
I'm
get
jumping up
stuck.
there.
You jumping there?
I'm going
Found the
Mario
jump button.
Brothers style through this.
So everything's got collisions on it, you know, that you can go and step
Yeah.
up on things and walk up on things. And this, essentially, the studio could be anything that you wanted.
Wait, so is there a bar over here?
Yes, a virtual space would not be complete without a bar.
See you guys later.
Yeah, let's head over to the bar. It's like we have 4 drinks waiting for us already.
just
what do we
missing the
got
DJ.
here?
We've got some Guinness. I'm just a big fan of Guinness.
Okay.
And if you want, there's a martini and some champagne and
That is awesome.
some red wine up there too as well.
That's cool. And look at the reflections too. Like I could literally see the reflection of the studio space in the wine.
kind of crazy.
That's cool.
I'll tell you, the materials and the reflections are getting a lot better as to. Oh, Josh fell. Josh, don't go past the bar, otherwise you're gonna fall and respawn. So,
There's a forest down there.
yeah.
I thought I was walking through the city.
Well, you walked through it all right.
Yeah, that's my trap for those who drink too much.
Okay. Well, I see over here you have some different, what's this, a cafeteria? And then you have a kitchen.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
what's going on over here?
well, we'll kind of walk you through it. A few things I wanted to show is the ability to bring different things into the environment, right? So we've got images here that are brought in. There's a video that's brought in here too as well that you can play and bring in for presentations.
Oh, cool.
And the video here shows final output and product for a consultant that I work with. They do interior decor design for K-12 and
What consultant is it?
new food consultant.
Shout out to New Food
New-
Consultants.
These guys are fantastic. They do amazing work. I work with them on most of the projects that they're building out. And we build out the cafeterias with all the graphics from AmTab and bring them inside of a virtual space that can be walked through. Now, this particular video here, we actually went to the site, scanned it with LiDAR, and we're able to show before and afters of what the facility looked like now and what it will look like later after the construction. So this is LiDAR, this is 3D mapped out, and we're able to make those comparisons with the client so they know exactly what they're going to get and what their facility is going to look like.
That is wild. So Josh, what do you have to say about this? This is pretty cool, right?
Game changer.
Could you see yourself using this with your current offerings?
Oh, absolutely. Like the value of this. So like you're saying the before and after, right?
Mm-hmm.
But where I see more value, right? So let's say there's projects where they do request alternates. And now let's say, all right, now you see your space in before. Here's option A and here's option B. So now you can actually see it in real time. Like what will this space look like and walk, feel like when you walk through it. Like that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, as a consultant, you would predetermine A, B, and C and what that looks like.
Yep.
We have all those scenarios pre-populated in, and then you switch to them all in real time to really figure out what the right solution is for them.
Yeah, workflow is important, like as you know. So we follow the flow of food. So following that flow of food, you receive it. Where does it go from receiving? Where does it go for the holding, where there's cold storage, dry storage? And then from there, where does it go to the kitchen for prep? And then from the prep, where does it go to cook? Where does it go to serve? Like following that flow and being able to actually do it in here. Can you count steps in here?
You could, yeah. Funny you say that. I've got a couple folks that have asked about that.
So that's like a big thing with consultants. Like, how many steps does it take to work your station? And you could literally count it out. Like, that's amazing.
It could. We could create an avatar in here that you could walk in third person and then hit a button on the keyboard that would start counting the steps. And then you could turn it from green to yellow to red if you wanted to guide them on, how far away am I from the station now, right? If I, start going from yellow to red as you get into 5 feet to 6 feet away from where that person is supposed to be managing.
Yeah. Wow. And so what about in terms of like, all right, so you have the steps counted. Can that sync to my smartwatch and count for my actual steps in the day?
I'll put it on the list. Okay, I'm gonna put that one on the list.
Yeah, just looking at you walking through that kitchen space, that's a really powerful tool. End users sometimes have a hard time visualizing how that piece of equipment would fit in there. So just being able to do that, I think that's huge.
And as you're walking through the space, can't you add and remove different pieces of furniture or equipment or whatever it is?
Yeah, we'd have to determine what we want that's interactable. Mostly what's interactable, you're probably going to find your cook lines, the size hood. But as long as we know going into it, and a lot of that will come from the consultant too as well, from feedback from the client as to, what if they have a 20-foot line, but maybe they're not familiar with modern equipment like combi ovens that can make operations more efficient. So having the consultant, as Josh was saying, sort of predetermine different cook line sets for them that goes from a 20-foot line to a 16-foot line down to even a 12-foot line, and the differences in the equipment that goes underneath the line, how it can shrink that space down, make it even much more efficient with greater technology that you're bringing into it.
I love how you have a 3D model inside of a VR space.
I got a 3D model inside of a 3D model that we're all able to look at around here.
That is awesome.
So this is a school that we did with New Food here too as well. Everything from the cafeteria down into the kitchen, remodeled for them, the interior decor to the serving lines. Now, when you get in VR, sometimes graphics don't always pull in properly and the same as we build out in desktop. But as a visual here, I thought it was just really cool to be able to bring in, and I wanted to try it because I'd never brought in a 3D facility inside of a 3D facility, so I'm going to see what it would look like.
It looks great.
Yeah, and so is this how they actually design like the kitchen, like the tile work, the color of the doors and all that?
Yeah, I mean that's the epoxy. I mean that's the epoxy that they'll use on the flooring. This is all the graphics that came from AmTab too as well. Even the logos on the furniture here too as well. That was all from AmTab, all around here. So I mean this decor, this structure that you see right here came from an architect who built that and designed that out. So we compiled graphics from the interior design, compiled graphics from the architect who brought in this structure over here, and then compiling everything from the kitchen consultant too as well. And the serving lines came from a different manufacturer, right? So you think about it, when you look at projects, you've got so many different people that are handling so many different areas of the facility, and now having the ability to bring all of that into a singular place that can be walked through to replicate and show exactly what it's going to look like.
I love the fact that you could actually like bend over and look underneath that ceiling.
Okay.
Attention to detail right there. That's awesome.
Shout out to them on that back of house design there. So incorporating some color, because that's the other thing. We're talking about taking care of the people that are making these meals every day possible, right? The people that are working in the back end. Too often we make everything pristine, stainless steel or white. That's it. Like, and then obviously for mental health, right? Being able to bring in some colors that can actually uplift the environment that they're in a little bit. Like, we take that for granted, for sure.
It's so neglected. The back of the house is so neglected, and you've got people there that are managing that facility and in that space more than the people that are coming in and eating, So you want to make them comfortable, 100%.
So Josh, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Are you hot in that jacket? That's a pretty heavy jacket.
You got
for
full
being
thermal.
inside.
You got full thermals going out here.
It's pretty comfortable. So it's actually breathable material.
Okay.
It's imported from Italy.
I like it.
It looks Italian.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, this is cool. So let's go back to the real world and wrap this thing up.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. That was kind of mind-blowing. So, what was your first impression of that?
It's cool. I mean, it's it's one of those things that you can talk about maybe in the future, but it's here, and everything that he says is possible. To be able to walk in that space and see how your kitchen will look, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, when my first impression of that was something that I always say. Like, I like to say that I live in the future so you can thrive in the present. And that's exactly what you just did. Like, you made something super futuristic so people in the present or people that need a newer, innovative solution can thrive. And that was awesome.
Yeah. And sorry to go back to, I think one of the biggest things about it is if not everybody can get to that space, having this option is invaluable. I definitely think it's bringing it. I guess the cliche is bringing everybody together. I mean, this really is that tool.
I mean, like, Josh, like, I could imagine, let's say it's winter, right? And then someone needs help immediately with some sort of consultation or kitchen, whatever it is. You can send a headset and you could put one on yourself instead of having to attempt to travel through a blizzard to get someplace. You can consult virtually, right?
That is actually that. I didn't even think about that. That's a whole other possibility.
In prison. You were sitting
Yeah,
See, I can do that now.
Yeah.
See? Now I can have that.
So what do you think about it?
I think it's amazing. It's a game changer for sure, especially with the ability of being able to work with the food in that space. That's going to be a game changer for sure, because now you can see, all right, so we're going to put in a salad bar. Maybe we're going to expand it, right? So let's see what it looks like. It's one thing to list a bunch of ingredients on paper, right? But it's another thing if we can put that in the space and they can be like, oh, now I see the value of adding this into like our program and the aesthetic of it. Like, oh, you guys did a different shape on it too. Like, that's amazing. It's like, you can't get that on paper. You can't get that easily at all on just CADs.
Nope. So Brendan, did this project turn into what you expected it to turn into?
It did, and it's continuing to evolve. Even the virtual studio that was built for you, I'm already working on a next generation of it. So
That's awesome.
Nice.
I love it.
Because the technology that is being used to create these virtual environments is continuing to get better and better every single year. So as the technology grows, just want to be on the forefront of it so I can help what I'm doing grow with it too as well and expand to create more solutions.
That's awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Real quick, go down the lines, say your name and where people can get a hold of you.
Mike Mang, the director of sales for Florida Reps.
And websites, socials for Florida Reps. What do you got?
FloridaReps.com.
All right, cool.
Joshua Miller with Remarkable Academic Foods, and website is rfoodsolutions.com.
And there's something else. So you got a pretty sick podcast yourself.
Yeah. So actually and sorry to explain the letter R, foodsolutions.com. So don't type in O-U-R. But yeah, so that's actually the reason I think we're here, right? A little happy accident from some friendly competition. Yeah. And I'm totally happy it happened because this was amazing. So yes, the 5 and 20 podcast by Remarkable Academic Foods. So it's a little different format. Which I love because it's not even like direct competition, right? Like we're still trying to get information out in 2 different formats. Yours is very conversational, and I'm like more of like I feel like I grow people sometimes, but trying to fit in like 5 or so questions in 20 something minutes. So.
And I guess before we move on, we should probably say real quick how we actually got to this podcast right now.
Yes.
So. What happened? Actually, Brendan, you tell us exactly what happened because you're the middleman. We're both fighting over you.
This is true.
We're both fighting over you. Yeah,
I'm unbiased. We were on a call with Pineapple Academy.
Yep.
They created a social forum, I guess.
Yeah.
And different creatives in the industry that are on there talking about some of the solutions. Where I met Josh there, and we were talking about what we did, our businesses and our companies, and Josh reached out and we started connecting afterwards, and his background and my background, and I think right away we were like, well, this makes a whole lot of sense, let's figure out how we can kind of combine services together and solutions together for clients. And he mentioned the podcast, and I'm like, well, I'm working on some stuff right now that what if we tried the podcast inside of the environments that I'm building? And he's like, yeah. And then I was on the phone with Marlon.
I was so excited.
And then I ended up talking with you, Marlon, and was telling you about meeting Josh and doing the podcast there. And
I'm like, I know Josh.
That's when you held the brakes on everything.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Brendan. 4 years, Brendan. 4 years. And you meet Josh for 1 week. And you're already going to start diving in with him. But I think it worked out. It worked out great. Having the both of you guys and Mike here too as well, and being able to do this together in the environment.
Well, this shows collaboration, like what Josh said. I feel like real recognizes real. Cool people find cool people, and when they're able to collaborate, fun things like this happen that benefits everybody, not just us, but the people that are out there watching.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Brendan, how can people get a hold of you at Visual Conquest?
They can reach out, Brendan at visualconquest.com, our website, visualconquest.com. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn there too as well. So reach out anytime. Happy to have a conversation and start the journey. It's a journey, right? It's for years to come.
For years to come. I love it. Well, thanks awesome. You guys. Wow, I can't talk. Thank you guys again for being on the podcast, and we should definitely do it. Let's do part 2.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Love
Definitely.
All right, cool.
Awesome.